Prince Hassan Bin Talal of Jordan, the one I perceived to be the future Antichrist, was in the news recently. So let's see what he had to say. But first, let's review. The Antichrist goes by another title known as the Assyrian. The Assyrian, or Assyria, was what we call today Iraq and Syria. So this prophecy here is that the Antichrist will rule that region again. And the Jordanians once did rule that region through his uncle, King Faisal I, who was the king of Syria and Iraq. But before we go to that, let's go to this real quick. Let's see what he had to say. So here we see Syria participants in dialogue sessions in Amman on a role of Arab culture bodies in the current challenges. Now, we see here Prince Hassan Bin Talal of Jordan. Let me zoom in just a little bit so we're all on the same page here. So we see Prince Hassan Bin Talal of Jordan right there. You see how all these Assyrians are here. They're all meeting in Jordan. And guess who's the lead or the head of this conference? Prince Hassan Bin Talal of Jordan. So when we go back to this passage here, talking about how he's going to be the Assyrian to rule Syria and Iraq, we're seeing Syrians come to Jordan to meet with Prince Hassan Bin Talal of Jordan. And again, it just foreshadows how we're going to eventually see the Iraqis do the same thing. Eventually, Iraq will probably reach out to him and facilitate dialogues with Prince Hassan Bin Talal of Jordan because his uncle ruled Iraq, which was part of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. Anyway, he says here that the first axis of the dialogue session program towards a new Arab thought. Now, the new Arab thought that he's talking about here is the idea to create a new region where all Arabs become one. Again, just like how Poland, Spain, France, they're all called Europeans. Likewise, Prince Hassan Bin Talal of Jordan has this new vision that he wants the Arab world to also embrace, where they're all Arabs with him ruling them all. So that's the thought that he wants them to have. Was devoted to discussing the current problems in the Arab intellectual scene. The participants emphasized the need to work on a comprehensive Arab civilizational intellectual project stemming from the awareness of intellectuals and thinkers of different affiliations and intellectual and ideological orientations within the integrated institutional frameworks at the level of Arab countries. So, to put this in layman's terms, he wants to be able to have Arabs come together and through this thought process and through this new perspective of thinking to come together through frameworks, through intellectuals, through this group, there's that group, and all these different spectrums of different Arabs all should come together within these different Arab countries through this new Arab thought. So this is just another means of him pushing his agenda and pushing his ambition for all Arabs to come together, and despite the differences that they have, come together as one, with him eventually leading them all. Prince Hassan Bin Talal talked about the great dangers facing the Arab world, sending a call to intellectual, cultural, and political institutions to be aware of the dangers and threats facing the Arab countries. So here again, he's talking about how all these different, this different spectrum of Arabs with respect to the thought maker, the thought leaders, the politicians, the cultural leaders, etc. How they all need to start thinking about who are we as Arabs, in which he would then facilitate this new plan, and where Daniel prophesied as the one who will be the leader of this kingdom of clay. So that's ultimately the end game here. He wants to facilitate the kingdom of clay. But to do that, you have to have these different, all Arabs from this entire, this vast spectrum of Arabs come together with him leading it. Just like how you see happening here with this, all these Assyrians come together with him in the middle. So this is just something that you're seeing happening with respect to the prophecy of Antichrist being called the Assyrian. Now we see also the prince presented a set of special maps that expose the diverse schemes aimed at destroying and fragmenting countries, stressing the necessity of networking with a global thought that is consistent with our convictions and defends the justice of our issues. So let's continue. Within the framework of coordination with intellectual and cultural institutions and unifying their discourse, head of the Arab Writers Unions in Syria, Dr. Muhammad al-Hurani gave lecture at the International Affairs Association in Jordan, in the Jordan capital, in cooperation with the Arab Thought Forum. Arab Thought Forum here is led by Prince Hassan Bin Talal of Jordan, entitled New Liberalism. So the war on morality and the culture of belonging. So this again is attended by a number of intellectuals. So what he's doing here is really, really smart. He's using the Arab leaders, the intellectual Arab leaders of Syria, and through his organization, the Arab Thought Forum, he's pushing for this new liberal idea of let's wage war on morality and the culture of where do we belong as Arabs, and so that he can facilitate his vision of what Daniel calls the kingdom of clay. So it's basically using them. They don't even know it, but he's basically using them to facilitate and promote his idea that would eventually give rise into the fruition of the kingdom of clay, where eventually he will be crowned king per the first seal, where a crown is given to him, and then he goes conquering and to conquer, and then eventually fulfills the prophecy of being the Assyrian. So let me know what your thoughts are. I hope that this makes sense. I'll put the original article below, but let me know what your thoughts are. Do you agree with, are you starting to see with what he's doing and how it aligns with scripture? Let me know your thoughts below, and don't forget, folks, to keep watching.